Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you the second deck profile of the day. This is for Josh's Filter Musketeer build. Really like it. Involves a lot of cards from Vingolf plus some pretty nasty tricks. It's only 2 colors in terms of stones, but it can access a bunch of different colors because of the filtering. So Puss in Boots is the ruler. Jack's fate of paying 9, but if you control an Athos, a Porthos, or an Aramis, his cost gets reduced by 3 for each unique one you control. So if you control one of each, you get only Jack's fate for 0. And then his other ability that's really neat is you can pay 1 less colorless to play Musketeer cards. So he essentially makes all your Musketeers come out 1 turn sooner. Very cool, and really is kind of the pinnacle of this deck's kind of goal. Flip side is D'Artagnan, the Bayoneteer. Has Pierce and Target Attack, 1,800, is a Musketeer, and every Musketeer Resonator you control gains plus 400. So when he comes out on the field, all of your Musketeers get a massive stat boost. Really easy to finish off games that way, just to force your kind of opponent to not really have any options, especially when it combined with Pumpkin Witch, which I'll talk about in a little bit, because this is one of the few decks that still makes use of Pumpkin Witch to kind of just OTK and bypass whatever your opponent has ready for you. As I said, this is a green-red deck, so it runs 4 Blasting Waves and 6 basic greens. Doesn't really need anything else other than this because of Sakamoto, but we'll talk about Sakamoto in just a second. So even though it can run, technically it can run 3 colors or 5 colors, we only use 2 colors worth of stones. So, as I said, we use 4 Ryuma Sakamoto, Musketeer, 2 void cost, so it becomes a 1-drop with Puss in Boots, 400, which is really good for a 1-drop. And then for 1 void cost, she can produce 1 will of any attribute. There you go. Filtering. Literally any of your stones essentially can produce any color as long as she's on the field. Very powerful card, especially if you can keep it protected, which is one of the things that this deck does really well on turn 2, and I'll go over that in a little bit. Then the rest of the Musketeer package, it literally just runs 4 Porthos for piercing and just putting a body on board, 4 Aramis to help kind of cycle the will, because you can just keep producing more and more. It's really handy now that we have a 1-drop Musketeer, so you can play a 1-drop Musketeer on turn 2, play Aramis, produce 2, play another Aramis, produce 3, play another Aramis, produce 4. Like, it's a lot easier. It's faster to chain now with Ryuma, so really good. And then we also now have 4 Calamity Jane. She's also a Musketeer, becomes a 2-drop, who just taps to burn something for 200 to target Resonator or target player. So she's a 5/5 2-drop, which is pretty solid, and she can serve as, burn things. So if you gotta push some damage onto your opponent to finish a game off, tap to end it. If you gotta push some damage onto a Resonator, tap to end it. She can do a lot of really interesting things. Plus, being a 5/5, as soon as you get D'Artagnan on the board, she becomes a 9/9, which is very good. Then the star of the Musketeer show is Athos, of course, because he only costs 3, and because of the fact that we have Puss in Boots as our ruler. When we go to grab an addition from the deck with him, it just gets put straight onto him. He's the big kind of finisher beyond the Pumpkin Witches. You can put a Loginus on him, a Crucifix on him, a Ame-no-Habakiri on him. This guy just wrecks. He's very powerful in this build, and especially with Ame-no-Habakiri, just the fact that even if they block, they're going to start taking lots and lots of damage. Really good card right now in this. And then, as I said, to finish her, 2 Pumpkin Witches. When she hits board, everything gains swiftness and flying. So yeah, just having a field full of pumped up Resonators and then playing this to say none of your stuff even matters, I'll just swing in for game. Pretty common, classic finisher for Musketeers. Spell lineup, we run 4 Thunders for some burning and monster control, as well as a Ghostflame, again that kind of recurrent control, because we don't really mind the cost because we're producing so much extra will with Aramis pretty early on, so that's really not too big of a deal. Then for some protection effects, Outside of the additions, we run 2 Exceed and 1 Shooting Star. Being able to redirect stuff back at your opponent is pretty awesome, and even though it's blue, when we have Ryuma, we can produce blue, so it's no big deal. Then the additions, Ame-no-Habakiri makes Athos or anything that's equipped to +400/+400, and when it deals damage to a Resonator, this card deals damage to the player that controlled that Resonator for the same amount. So even if they block a 12/12 Aramis, they're going to take 1200 damage to the face anyway. Really, really good. Really way to say just doesn't matter what you do, I'm going to win this game. 3 Crucifix for the absolute protection, pretty much turn 2. This is going to try, I mean, the opening ideal hand is to have Ryuma turn 1, Aramis turn 2, or Crucifix turn 2, so that Ryuma is just safe permanently. That way you never have to worry about losing your mana filter. But it's still good on like on any of the other Musketeers. And then the one of the Loginus, especially if you're getting against a dark deck, really, really good, especially because it just bumps him up 500/500, makes him untargetable, and takes no damage. So Aramis, whatever it gets attached to, just becomes a rock that can't really ever be killed, especially versus a stone deck, or a darkness deck. And kind of the interesting thing is 4 Aqua Magic Tempest. Just play 4, return all Resonators to their owner's hands. So, I bet you're wondering why this card. This card is handy for a number of reasons. You, essentially what you do is this is another finisher outside of Pumpkin Witch. Usually, because once Pumpkin Witch hits the field, she creates a status effect that lasts until the end of the turn. So anything that comes onto the field after Pumpkin Witch also gets swiftness and flying. So essentially what you do is you have some floating will with Aramis, or something like that. You have a stockpile of will beyond the 4 needed to cast this. Typically you want at least 3. Then you have the Pumpkin Witch on field, so you play Pumpkin Witch, have an excess of mana after that. Swing in a bunch, if that's not enough, play Aqua Magic Tempest, bounce everything back to your hands, play Ryuma, play Aramis, essentially get to replay all of the creatures that you just played, and just swing in for game. Because all your opponent's stuff is gone, you're still going to have flying and swiftness, but still you just get to essentially play all your cards again, and attack twice with them. So this is like a mini, in this deck anyway, this is like a mini Faria's God Art. To just replay all your cards and swing in with them a second time in one turn to finish the game. Really, really neat trick. I think it's really, really clever the way Josh built this to be able to incorporate that. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is Filter Musketeers. Let me know what you thought about the deck. I really like this deck a lot. I've liked Musketeers for a while. I think this is a way to bring them into a new kind of into the new format. Let me know what you thought, what you would change, what you would do differently, and go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe as always. And until next time, guys, this is DMO73 signing off.